Fred Film Radio, Venice Film Festival, Italy.
Hello and welcome to Fred Film Radio. I'm Amani Mohammed reporting from the 70th Venice Film Festival. I am delighted and honoured to meet the Queer Lion Award head of the jury, Angelo Acerbi.
Hello.
Hi, Angelo.
I'm here again.
Of course, you're back. You've been with me on the live show, and I've loved our little encounters and debates. And of course, I also have here Marco Busato, who's one of the jurors as well for the Queer Lion. Welcome.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Fantastic. So, of course, we're here to talk about the Queer Lion. Now, this is the 7th edition of this award, which is fantastic. I think it's brilliant. I love it. We should tell our audience that this is dedicated to movies with homosexual themes or a queer interest. And I've taken that directly from your catalogue, so yes. I'm not saying anything. So it must be true. It must be true. And I have you both here to verify and put the stamp on there. So welcome to Fred Film Radio. I'd really like to know, let's start off. I just want to get your take on Venice this year.
You start.
I start?
Yes, yeah. Marco, you can tell us about your experience so far.
As a juror, you mean?
Yes, as a juror, or even just, in terms of the buzz and everything like that.
Okay, so as a juror this year we had quite a lot of movies to judge on. It obviously depends on the editions. Some years we have more, some years we have less. This year we had 10 titles to judge on, which was quite a lot. Yeah. And I think the average quality was quite high, even though some titles had a more prevalent, had more thematic when it comes to QLGBT themes, and others less. As for the overall 17th edition, I think it was quite good.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree about that. Yeah.
Yeah, Angelo.
It was good enough. Well, it was good. It was a very good edition on paper before the festival started, and so far, we are at the end of it. It was good. It was good. I was pretty pleased with many of the movies I saw. Not very big disappointments, some, but not many.
That's good.
And then being in this jury, it's weird because you have to judge the movies under a point of view that the selectors of the festival haven't thought about.
And that's why you've been brought in to do that very specific job.
Yeah, and as Marco said, this year is a very prolific one because the Queer Lion lineup is not made by the Queer Lion selection, but comes from the selection of the festival. So every single film comes from a different section, regardless if it's new, if it's in competition or out of competition, whatever. It must have some LGBT issue in it.
Right.
So sometimes there are films that are signaled to us as LGBT movies that are not, and some others that are not told to us, and then they have, and there's some LGBT issues that comes up. So it's really in progress situation.
Okay. Now you keep saying LGBT. Can you explain to our audience what is that?
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender.
Thank you for clearing that up. I knew what you were talking about, but some people may not.
Yeah. You are a smart girl.
Well, I try, Angelo. He's always flattering me. Thank you, Angelo. So, of course, we're talking about quite a wide selection of films here, and they don't, like you say, they don't have to have a direct. So, say, for example, Julia is about a transsexual, so that is an inherently direct calling to the Queer Lion. But then there are some other films like L'Armée du Salut, which also has an element of that in it, but that's not what the whole film.
Well, there are many other movies, for example, there were like a movie like Via Castellana Bandiera, which was the first Italian movie in competition, which has an LGBT issue because the two main characters are a lesbian couple, but that was not the key, the heart of the film.
Okay.
So it is LGBT, but not completely. So the question for us as a juror is to try to find which is for us the criteria, the first criteria to use to evaluate the movies.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are specific movies that you've decided on or been deliberating on, but also I believe that you included in looking at was Paul Schrader's The Canyons, May in the Summer, which I've seen, and Les Analfabetas. Did I say that correctly? Yeah. That's also been included in your deliberation. But I'd really like to, can I briefly ask you what your background is? Because I think that's really important to people to understand why you are doing the job that you're doing. And of course, Angelo, you're the head of this jury this year.
Yes, I was chosen by my fellow friends here. I am, the main reason is because I've been working for the LGBT International Festival of Turin, which is the oldest gay and lesbian festival in Europe. I've been working for them since 15 years. And selecting for...
I thought you were only 21, so that can't be right, can it?
Talking about flattery here, yeah?
You know, quid pro quo.
Thank you very much. I'm slightly older than that. And so basically, I see tons of LGBT movies all year long for many, many years. So this is how I built up my competence. And I'm also selecting for the Seattle International Film Festival for Europe and Italy, and I help Fred Film Radio, as you know.
Of course, you've been doing our industry coverage, which is fantastic.
And so basically, my background is that one. I worked a little bit in production. I was a film commissioner, so I'm always gravitating around that word.
So yes, of course, as head of the jury, you have to have a reputation. And let's hope. Yeah, well, I think we need to talk about that off air, possibly. Marco, tell us about your experience.
My previous experience, I am the general delegate of Cinemark Association, which is a cultural association here in Venice. And before Queer Lion was born 7 years ago, we were already organizing each year a small festival beside the Venice Film Festival, and during the same days showing some LGBT themed movies. So in a way I had to select them as well. Anyway, I've always been going to LGBT film festivals. So I have this kind of background.
So yes, obviously very well qualified for this, for judging these movies. Now, I really want to know, what is the criteria for you? What are you looking for in these movies?
This is funny, because when we had the meeting for deliberating, it was the first question that we asked each other. So,
so you're deciding between yourselves.
Because the criteria can vary every single session.
Of course,
every single jury can have different criteria. And for us, it was kind of, we had like to decide about two choices. The criteria for the movies. So I mean, only looking of the movie, the best movie we liked that one, or a criteria towards helping the award to grow and to be more visible. Okay. So you have to, in this case, try to mediate between maybe movies that are not perfect on your opinion, but can be very helpful but good enough to deserve a prize, and being very helpful to the award to be
okay.
So we discussed a lot.
How long have you been deliberating for then?
Well, it was not that long. Well, it was long, but we kept on talking about throughout the festival. Not that we never talked about it, so it was easier. And we do some homework before.
Okay, I'd really like to ask you, before we reveal the winners, which I'm really excited about, really briefly, give me the highlights for you in this. What have you the movies you've been judging, what is, let's say the 2 or 3 top highlights, but in brief? Both of you. Yes, I'd like to ask both of you that question.
Start, Marco.
Yes, Marco, you start.
For the competition, for our competition.
Yes, what has been the highlight for you?
Okay,
Which movies?
so one of the highlights, I'll keep it for last since it's the movie that actually won. The other one was a movie that really surprised me, despite the fact I think it's a movie with a lot of flaws, and that was Tom at the Farm by Xavier Dolan.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yes. And the third movie that surprised me was probably, even though it's maybe too small of a movie, was The Army of Salvation, L'Armée du Salut.
Fantastic.
Which had anyway a message that we weren't sure was positive enough.
Was positive enough, yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I mean, I saw L'Armée du Salut and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good, particularly from a Middle Eastern point of view, to address those issues. And I think sometimes culturally you have to understand that's a massive issue in the Middle East, whereas obviously in Europe it's not so much so. And so, Angelo, tell us about...
Well, for me, the highlights were Kill Your Darlings.
Yes, which we all saw together.
Which we saw together, yes. And I, in some way, Tom à la Ferme, but not for the same reason of Marco's.
Okay.
Because I liked it, but I liked the cinematography, I liked the technicality, I liked the art, but I didn't like the content.
Okay.
And the way it was treated. And
it's very particular, is Angelo.
No, me. Oh, yes.
Yes, no, he's like, no, I am talking about you, Angelo.
And then I think, and L'Armée du Salut, as well. I mean, I don't know, because it was the last one, but it was really much fresher than any other thing we
and that was from
before.
A first-time director. So, okay, some flaws we can kind of
allow. Totally,
Yeah. Okay, so the moment of truth.
But at the end of the day, at the end of the festival, we decided to give the Queer Lion Award to Stephen Frear's Philomena.
Wow.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to do a round of applause all by myself because I absolutely love that film. Tell me, why has this
the
won?
reason, it was a film that wasn't even included at the very beginning. We included it after we saw it. Right,
because you reserve the right to include films that you weren't originally thinking of putting in. Now, tell me about why.
Well, the main reason why, because besides the fact it's a fantastic movie.
Fantastic. Loved it.
The three of us in the jury, we loved it, like, totally. It's one of the few movies that the three of us loved. And because the issue, the gay issue, the LGBT issue in the movie is the son of Philomena it's not even a character that you see because he's a dead guy.
That's right.
Is that guy that she finds out after like 50 years. It was a gay guy that died of AIDS in the Reagan era. It was Ronald Reagan consultant, so it was a Republican. All that issue is treated in such a clear and direct way, and the fact that her, who was the mother, was a complete Catholic, is not at all shocked by the fact that her son was gay.
Yeah.
She's less shocked than all the others.
That's right.
The youngest, the more, open-minded or supposedly open-minded people. And this fact is is presented such a normal way of being. I mean, the fact that his son was gay is not an issue.
It's not made an issue in the film.
It's not made an issue, exactly.
Which I really enjoy. I mean, Marco, would you agree with that?
Yes, absolutely. And even the fact that, of course, the main topic of the movie is the search for the son, which is in itself such a big topic. Nonetheless, the fact that the son is gay, the fact that he was forced to have a double life, the fact that he had a companion, is treated anyway in a very... It's not a secondary part of the plot. It's treated in a big way. It has a huge portion of the movie. It's treated in a very frank...
and very direct.
Yes,
it's
frank and direct way.
Absolutely. Fantastic.
And so this is the movie where because we discussed about other titles before getting to this one.
Okay.
But at the end, we decided that as we are only three persons, it was really pointless to choose a movie that was liked by one and not the other two. So we had on that one, we were all...
You were all agreed.
Yeah, so...
Can I
we went for
ask
that.
you then? That's fantastic. I'm very happy because I absolutely love that film. I have to say it's one of my favourites of the festival. Sometimes you do give a special mention or a career achievement award. Are there any of those this year round in the 7th edition of the Queer Lion Award?
Well, we decided at the very beginning of the festival, and I totally agree, because coming from a festival, I know how painful it is, not to give any side award or mentions or secondary or course, nothing like this, because
Okay.
it's not. It can no. I think it takes out strength from the
winner.
award, from the winner. So
I
it's
think
really
you're right,
pointless.
actually. I
Yes.
think that's a great idea, and unless it really does deserve it, or a film that you find really does, then
Yeah, but
it ultimately-
we didn't fight that much in order to need to flatter somebody as a juror ego to give
It's fair enough.
secondary. So
Thank you so much, Angelo Acerbi and Marco Busato, for joining me. We had the head of the jury here and
Thank
the
you.
juror for the Queer Lion Award. And this was the 7th edition within the 70th Venice Film Festival. And we'd like to congratulate Stephen Frears for Philomena. Fantastic movie. I'm a massive fan of the film. So I'm happy, I'm smiling. I'd like to thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. This is Amani Mohammed for Fred Film Radio, and we are the Festival Insider.
Fred Film Radio. 24/7 on Fred.fm and smartphone apps.